Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A pleasant good morning. I want to take this opportunity to welcome the students of Christchurch Secondary and Richard Ishmael Secondary into the assembly this morning. It's nice to see you here. I feel as though I'm at my class, and so it's good for you to be here. With that being said, the Honorable Speaker before me made a presentation and spoke about history. And I would like to spend some time, a few minutes, recapping history. 1964, we should not forget. The Honorable Minister, my family lost 100 acres of land in 1964. Didn't get it back. When we talk about legacy, from 1992 to the time up to 2015, if we to talk about the legacy of the PPPC government, I would ask the children to do research to find out under which government did we lose about 1,400 young people who died in this country, African young men and women that died. I would say to these young people here, it is good for you to read so that you can get the information. Again, we talk about history. We must be reminded, because of the ban from certain products, Guyana produces saltfish as a result of that. Also, Guyana was able to grow its own food. And we see all of these things we can see and learn from our history. Mr. Speaker, today, as we dissect the tapestry of Budget 2025, we must cast aside the jejune platitudes that often punctuate these debates and confront the malcontent reality facing the Guyanese people. This budget, with all its pretensions of prosperity, is bereft of cogent strategies, offering little more than a roof masquerading as governance. The ruling PPPC government, in its static detachment, has managed to culminate another year of mendacious promises and dystopian expenditures that confound reason. This is not governance, Mr. Speaker. This is kleptocracy, wrapped in a veil of mendacity. I reflect on the words of Aristotle. The worst form of inequality is to try to make unequal things equal. Mr. Speaker, how do we justify a paltry 5,000 increase for our pensioners? A mere $167 per day. Mr. Speaker, barely enough for a pack of mint. Is it not an insult to those who have labored for this nation? The 3,000 increase in public assistance can't even cover one therapeutic session. A meager $100 a day reeks of an aberrant disregard for the vulnerable. The jejune offering is no salve for the hapless who must navigate an economy rife with inflation and unchecked, deliberate price gouging. The announcement of 130,000, where we have here, I have a breakdown. If you're getting 130,000, if you're renting, you probably pay 45,000. My colleague said to me at work, that's cheap. Transportation might be 15,000. If you have a child coming all the way from East Coast, the child's transportation to Georgetown will cover 8,000. GPL might collect a 10,000. Water bill, 3,000. You might pay internet, because you know we're in the age of technology, a 6,000. Your cooking gas is going to be a 5,000. You left with a little 4,000 to feed your family. The reality of $130,000. Mr. Speaker, adjustment to taxes and income tax thresholds. The question is, who controls the prices in the market? Distribution of cash grants, marvelous, but what system of confusion will be in place. Guyanese people don't know. Mr. Speaker, the promises of free travel on the new Demara Harbor Bridge and 50% electricity reduction hinges upon completion timelines that remain as malleable as the government's integrity. Temporizing with such grandized claims, they pontificate about progress, while our people languishes in uncertainty with no salient assurances in sight. The part-time job allocation of 11 billion raises more questions than answers. Will these workers see an increase? Or is this merely another hoax design while the friends, family, and favorites line their pockets? Meanwhile, the VAT removal on backup generators, another Lord-like maneuver, benefiting only those who can afford such luxuries, while the average citizen remains confounded by perpetual blackouts. Can you imagine the learners lost and the children are here? And the distress of our youths in this technological age with blackout. You got to do your assignment, you got to charge your gadgets, and then in the middle of it, blackout. The children, the young people of this nation can speak to that distress. Mr. Speaker, I turn my attention to Ministry of Culture, Youth, and Sports. Mr. Speaker, the allocation of 3.6 billion for culture appears impressive at first glance. But a closer look reveals that it is bereft of genuine intent. 57.2% of this sum will be put towards infrastructure, leaving our artists, musicians, and cultural practitioners scrambling for scraps. What is the rationale used by the ministry to determine where a project is most needed? We see from last year's budget, a recording studio is set up in Port Moran. It's not completed as yet. But, Mr. Speaker, the question is, what's the rationale? Mr. Speaker, how can we preserve Guyana's cultural tapestry when the government's priorities are glaringly skewed? For example, Mr. Speaker, under the coalition government, I come into this house since 2020, and all these people, the honorable members on that side of the house would talk up about Durban Park and Durban Park. All they're focusing on is the money. But what is the historical significance of Durban Park? Durban Park is located at the area where you have the Independence Arch. Durban Park is located at the area where you have the Square of the Revolution. Durban Park is located in the area where you have the Office of the President. Durban Park is located in the area where you have the Botanical Gardens. Durban Park is located in the area where you have the National Cultural Center. The historical significance. Mr. Speaker, Durban Park was created to celebrate Guyana's 50th independence anniversary. That is what it was created for. Anywhere in this world you go, people celebrate things with significance. What happened to the flagpole? Why is it that we don't see the golden arrowhead flying on that flagpole? What is wrong with having our golden arrowhead flying high there? The children in this house today can speak to the experiences of Durban Park, since many of them would have participated in the event there. Mr. Speaker, Guyana's cultural heritage is a unifying force for development, a representation of our cultural cross-fertilization. Yet, matrimony, a cornerstone of our national identity, has been reduced to a mundane spectacle, stripped of its vibrancy by a government intent on imposing its narrow, censorious vision of one Guyana. The government's interference in cultural expression is not only imprudent, but an affront for our nation's heritage. Mr. Speaker, we see the PPPC government sees everything as political. Example, tell me how we must survive with 6.5 contestants disqualified from children march competition last year, February. What were the words of the Calypso? And I say it. Tell me how I must survive with 6.5. Please tell me how I must survive with 6.5. I have a burning issue on my chest. I can't even rest. How cost of living, everything doubling, this thing troubling. Tell me how I must carry on with a seemingly one arm. Tell me what is political about this presentation. Social commentary is a part of our matrimony celebration. Rules should not be there to affect our children. Quite recently, the Heart of Guyana, cultural creativity, hear this piece that was disqualified for political reason. Well, Guyana, this is you, building new things, carving new roads, so brand new. Where sugar once flowed and cane fields grow, now we chase trends, shiny and new. But tell me, Guyana, what's left of you? All the things we used to do. Oh, Guyana, the things that make you uniquely you. Tell me what is political about that life. I am trying to figure it out. These are the things that are thrown out. Mr. Speaker, Guyanese cannot afford to continue to see one type of dance presentation, one set of drummers, one set of musicians, one type of presentation at all the national events we have under this one PPPC Guyana team. We need to see diversity in keeping with our national motto of one people, one nation, one destiny. That's our national motto. And we must say it and let our children understand that is our national motto. Our government will allocate resources to preserve and showcase Guyana's rich cultural heritage for all ethnic groups, as well as music, dance, and our festivals. We will ensure every ethnic group receives the amount of money budgeted for them, and not to impose political decisions to cripple ethnic groups. We will ensure the projects are done, meet the needs of specific needs. And APNU-led government will rectify this by creating the Cultural Industry Secretariat, free from political interference. We will empower our local artists, musicians, filmmakers, and practitioners with non-partisan grants. Not all them cook up and cookery that takes place. Establish cultural centers across this country, and again, integrate cultural education into the school curriculum, which will instill pride in our shared history. And most importantly, the protection by legislation for the creative industry will be done. Mr. Speaker, youths. Mr. Speaker, the allocation of 1.2 billion for youth development is equally jejune. How can a mayor, 75 million for the youth council, address the pressing needs of our young people? There has been an increase in allocation of the President's Award of 5 million. And I must commend the member who spoke last evening and gave an outline of the program. But I would like to know, as per region, how the young people benefited. Mr. Speaker, why didn't the over-targeted youths displaced from Cane View, Sarah Johanna, Hillfoot, or any of the areas where they've been deprived benefited from any of the monies allocated on the youth? We have a lot of young people who are in business, Chevron. We had a lot of young people, Santiana with her 4 daughters, who are involved in business. Marianne was involved in business. They're young people. The issue of them losing everything they own, destroying the business that they had, why is it that they didn't deserve some of the money allocated for youths to help them to develop? Mr. Speaker, I want the honorable member to know When you speak of merciless, think about Cane View. When you speak of merciless, think about the 1,400 youths that were gunned down and killed in this country. When we speak of merciless, think about all the massacre that took place. When we speak of merciless, think about the unfairness that is meted out to ordinary people in this land. That is what you call merciless. When you speak of merciless, speak about what is happening when the grants are given, the children don't get it, and you have the parents fighting for it, and the children still going to school without the necessary things that they need. That is what we call merciless. Actions like that is what we consider merciless. Mr. Speaker, none of the local youth organizations have benefited from any increases in 2025 budgetary allocation. This budget, Mr. Speaker, speaks a whole story. The oil and gas industry, which should be a beacon of opportunity, remains inaccessible to many of our youth due to the lack of adequate training programs. The government's penchant for temporizing with short-term initiatives sets our youth up for failure. Ministerial powers that dictates a 12-month program must be completed in 4 months speak to the uncaring nature of the learning process, but rather the importance of the numbers game. Mr. Speaker, our government will empower youth for national prosperity. Under coalition government, we will launch robust, again, long-term youth development programs, provide funding for young entrepreneurship, and establish business hubs at strategic locations like the airport, where only certain people could get stalls, like our stadiums, where there's no space for our local people. Create business hub. You're doing training, create opportunity for the young people to do their business. Create opportunity for them to showcase. I'm always disappointed when I visit the games that come to this country. Thankfully, I can pay for my own tickets and go. When you go to the games, you walk around and you're looking to see, what can we find about Guyana? Nothing. Nothing. Even a simple water from Guyana you don't get to buy. But what happened? Aren't we going to put things in place for that? Mr. Speaker, we'll also invest in leadership development program and mental health support to nurture future leaders and engage in equal opportunities for all, strengthening our national identity. Sports, Mr. Speaker. Whew. A very eventful year. A very eventful year. Mr. Speaker, the secrecy surrounding the tragic death of Joel Adams on July 9th, 2024 at the state-run swimming program and the subsequent cover-up exemplifies the government's lack of accountability. This teen did not even deserve, and the strange thing, you know, Joel had friends, Joel had teachers, Joel had people that loved him, not because he lived in a state-run facility. He had people that loved him. I've encountered Joel as a teacher, and it's very difficult to think that a simple ongoing service, he didn't deserve a live stream that people could be there to really saying it was all a secret. The question surrounding him, why was the FINA certified coach not in charge of the Learn to Swim program? Why was the ambulance and medical professional not at the Learn to Swim program if you're teaching people to swim? Answers, these needs to be answered. Only the ministerial mystical powers have the answers. While the government boasts about medals achieved by our athletes, all of Guyana is super proud of their achievements, and I pause to acknowledge, let's acknowledge our athletes who amidst every challenge, who amidst every trial, who amidst every testing, was able to still bring home medals and fly the golden arrowhead, not the one Guyana, the golden arrowhead of Guyana for this nation. Unlike when you send the children to the Inter-Guyana Games and the uniform got big one Guyana, you don't even see the flag. You check Suriname uniform, they got the flag. Check French, everything. But when you check Guyana, big one Guyana. Where is our coat of arms? Where is our national symbols? This is what we want to see. That is what we want to see. That's what represents Guyana. While the government boasts of medals achieved by our athletes, all of Guyana is super proud of their achievement. However, Mr. Speaker, these athletes have to finance their own training. While the coaches work for free, where was the governmental support for our athletes and coaches? Not even water at the venue or a free transportation to take them for training was provided. Only when they're ready to go to the international stage, then government show up. But that's how sports is operate. It is a process. They need the support so that they could be able to be successful. How many of them paying transportation from the East Coast to Lenora? You're paying 200 from the East Coast to the park. You pay 200 from the boat from Stabrook to Vredenhoop. Then you pay 200 from Vredenhoop to go to Lenora. That's 600. Then you got to find the same to come back. Simple. Where is the support? Where is the support for these athletes? Mr. Speaker, the announcement of stipend for our athletes was nice. And I can say it nice. How, Mr. Speaker? However, Mr. Speaker, the athletes cannot say with certainty which time of the month the stipend will be ready. And the lack of respect towards these sportsmen and women is quite blatant. Participation in international competition. Oh, we participated in international competition. Yes, bravo. Mr. Speaker, the government will boast. Let's talk about the type of accommodation and the meals these athletes would get when they leave Guyana to go and compete. Who went and checked the facilities for the French Guiana Games? Our athletes stayed in a rundown old dorm. That's where our athletes stayed, where the door can't even close. And to represent Guyana. Why our athletes don't be accommodated with the other athletes? We are, as you say, the fastest growing economy. And we cannot adequately invest in ensuring Guyanese athletes are accommodated in fine style with other teams and be comfortable. When you go to sports and championships, you make friends, you form bonds, you get relationships with people, you can communicate and all of that. I see it every day. Why is it that our Guyanese athletes can't enjoy the same? I recall talking to an athlete about the stadium in Grenada, and the young man said to me, said, Miss, oh, those seats were so comfortable. Why they can't say the same with the stadium over the river at Lenora? What are we doing? Why are we taking so long? Money coming, money allocated, and what are we taking so long? I see all these agencies that come out to support. Yes, $8 billion, lovely. I'm happy for them. Let them walk to the facilities and see if the athletes are actually comfortable. Let them walk and see how the athletes have to deal with the training. That is what they need to do. Mr. Speaker, budgetary allocation, based on the budgetary allocations for Sports Commission, it will be the same old, same old. There ain't gonna be much of a difference because the finances allocated, it's not much different to last year. Mr. Speaker, we are expected to host CPL finals this year. And I saw it in the newspaper, I smiled. I said, good. They boast about it in Parliament, and yes, we've seen it. I smile. But let me remind this House and the PPPC, as you're boasting, hosting of international competition is laughable when juxtaposed with the reality of a leaky roof in July 2024 at the Karate World Cup Championship, as against the blackout-ridden CPL finals in October 2024. Missing the minister, the CC Boxing Building Championship in October. Judge Ramson, person got called 2-3 times before the minister appear on stage, doesn't speak well. And the non-functional toilets and dirty stands at the Invitational Lenore say I was so embarrassed because I always going to these sports and things. All these events I visit, I check it out because I love sports. Mrs. Speaker, hopefully actions will be taken to ensure no more international embarrassment for Guyana. Hopefully, actions will be taken to ensure no more international embarrassment for Guyana. We have to fix it in order. If you bring in international competitions, ensure you give international standards. I'm embarrassed when I went to the stadium for the cricket. You had the elite games. That was the other thing. You know what's amazing? A lot of times the people don't go in the regular stands. Basically, the VIP section is VIP. But the people who got to be there to support, the spectators, encourage, to cheer, them is important. The washroom nasty, no toilet tissue, not be hosting international competition. We got to fix it. The grounds in question, Mr. Speaker, which is the ministry, but the ministry has the audacity to declare as complete, you know, are glaring testament to the incompetence and misuse of public funds. My two colleagues yesterday mentioned and highlighted two grounds. Despite millions of dollars earmarked for these projects, the reality on the ground tells a different story. In budget 2022, 2023, and 2024, you said you were going to do 251 grounds. They were going to be upgraded. Fine. Then, latter part of the year, the minister came and said that the funds were exhausted and presented a list of 93 grounds. I have it in the hand, sir. Mr. Speaker, interestingly, how are these grounds completed? Fences poorly constructed, no gates in place on animals running over the field. The neglect has rendered the grounds unsafe for use, dangerous holes caused by animal activity, and stuff like that. These fields remain surrounded and invaded with negligence to the east, faggots on the west, inefficiency on the north, and more trouble on the south. This so-called completion is nothing but a sham showcasing government's failure to ensure accountability and proper oversight in the use of taxpayers' dollars. Mr. Speaker, this year $8 billion is allocated for sports 2025. I'm happy to see that. Very happy. All projects will take $2 billion. 1.3 billion will be done to complete the work at Palmyra and 700 million for the multipurpose sports facilities. The new projects, 100 million will go to the Cricket Academy at Good Hope, 2 billion for grounds upgrade, and 1 billion for installation of lights. A total of 6.4 million out of the 6.4 billion out of the 8 billion will be spent on infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, of the 1.6 billion remaining, some more will be spent on infrastructure, like you got the tarmac, and for the schools that will help with the basketball, I hope mine will be fixed. How much of the allocated sums will be spent for coaches? Mr. Speaker, here again, our athletes will be shortchanged, since 80% of the sum will be spent on infrastructure. Last year alone, we spent how much $1 billion on infrastructure. How was these athletes actually benefiting? They ain't got no access to the facility. They ain't got to use it yet. Nothing. Mr. Speaker, back in the early days, we had more athletes in various sport discipline because their facilities were well kept and they were accessible to our youth. Now, we have an upgraded facility that takes 4 long year, 3 long year, 2 long year, and you're going. Cliff Anderson Sports is a perfect example. It's not completed, our work still going on outside. And newly constructed facilities, not certain of the completion of stadiums, be at 2, 6, and 10. Mr. Speaker, the question again, how is this? that projects are selected to be done. To Mary Red Ground, or Hyde Park, to Mary Red Ground, a ground that I ran on as a child, provides services for persons at St. Mary's Primary, provide opportunity for people at Suesdyke Primary, Suesdyke Secondary, to Mary Primary, and all the other schools in that area can use Mary Red Ground. Was the ground done? No. Why wasn't it done? Only God knows. But if we're working with needs assessment, that would be important because it will serve the schools in the area as well as the children living in the area. We go down the line to Canaan. We minister not in the house where they want to tell what want to tell you now. That go to Canaan, had the meeting with the people talk about the ground being done in Canaan, and he tell the people they're too covetous. They always want something. Now, why is it that you don't see the need to do the ground in Canaan? Canaan will serve not only the people of land of Canaan, it will serve Supply Primary School, it will serve Friendship Secondary School, and all the other schools within that square, Pearl Primary and so forth, where they can use the ground to complete their sports. Why was Canaan not done? Only God in heaven knows. Same old. We need to be real. If you're doing the project, ensure that the people can benefit from the project now.
Honorable Member, I want to ensure you benefit from an extension.
Thank you. Thank you, Comrade Speaker. I do move that the Honorable Member be given 5 minutes to conclude her presentation.
Thank you, Chief Whip. You may continue, Honorable Member, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I can name several grounds. Grounds in Port Village, Myconi, fence, still can't use. Ground at Ogle need cleaning and fixing, still can't use. And the many other grounds I can name along this thing. Mr. Speaker, our government will ensure continuous sports development by investing and completing modern sports facilities and strengthening grassroots programs to identify and nurture the talent from an early age. Mr. Speaker, programs will be provided for our young people, scholarships for the young athletes to compete in regional and international competitions. Partnerships will be created with local and international organizations to enhance sponsorship, coaching, training, and sports science. The APNU government will prioritize the dignity and well-being of our athletes. We will continue to ensure proper facilities, timely stipends, and comprehensive support for our athletes. Mr. Speaker, in keeping with our people-centered development strategy, as a coalition government, our Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, and I want the workers to hear, as a coalition government, our Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture will be one where workers will be respected. No phone call to a minister will cause disrespect to any worker. No worker will be disrespected since their skills, experience, and qualifications will be used for the good and the development of this nation. The athletes, the craftsmen, our youths will get adequate support without ministerial dictatorship. Our ministry will see the empowerment of our youths, sporting excellence and cultural renaissance. Mr. Speaker, preservation and celebration of Guyana's rich cultural diversity. We will have our industries, Mr. Speaker, the Cultural Industry Secretariat, strengthening our national identity through social cohesion of our youth engagement. Mr. Speaker, this budget is not a tapestry of prosperity, but a dystopian blueprint for continued disenfranchisement. The PPPC government has proven itself to be mendacious administration, adept for favoring its cronies, leaving the ordinary Guyanese bereft of hope. It is time for the Guyanese to reject kleptocracy, and once again rally under the banner of one people, one nation, one destiny. It is time for Guyanese to rally as one people, one nation, one destiny. The coalition, with its people development strategy and vision, and the patriotic heart, 'cause you gotta love your country to serve it well, stands ready to lead this nation once again to a future of fairness, equity, and prosperity. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member, Ms. Nima Flue-Bess. And now for the Honorable